Good morning, everybody. Good morning, San Francisco. Good morning, Redwood City. I'm supposed to be getting this started today, and we're going to be talking about platforms of the future. And my sense is that Israel today is really the platform of platforms of the future. I want to run through a couple of quick slides that give you a sense of what's going on from at least my sort of unique perspective, and then we'll be meeting a bunch of really interesting people in the ensuing minutes with this session. So if you look at, obviously in the old days I used to have to use materials from the Israeli consulate. Today the people from Davos do our work for us. Israel has really become the second most important innovation platform in the world. The numbers are literally going off the charts. I'm going to have to create a different scale here. Last year was about $6.5 billion invested. Israel, the only ecosystem where the majority of those funds are coming from abroad. And what's also really good news is the M&A activity is great. I haven't updated this slide to include the recent NVIDIA Mellanox deal, but we're seeing lots and lots of billion-dollar exits. And we're also seeing, as a result of this increased M&A activity, tremendous growth in terms of the R&D centers that are being set up in Israel. It used to be in the 90s that we had one a quarter. We now are about one every 2 weeks. Last year, 23 R&D centers were set up in Israel. Unicorns also, depending upon how you claim and count these. I mean, this is a more generous list from Tel Aviv, including people like WeWork and House, which I'm not sure classify fully as Israeli companies. There is this wonderful perception that Israel has a bunch of unicorns, and in fact today there's an article just came out a couple hours ago on Bloomberg about the revival of the Israeli IPO market. What's most exciting to me is that Israel has really taken a leadership role in investments in the artificial intelligence area. This is data from Forbes back in September showing us basically battling China for a number 2 slot. They're a little bit ahead of us. I think we can handle that with our ego. But if you look at those numbers, these are not per capita numbers. These are absolute numbers, where Israel is approaching 400 startups. Pretty happy with the shout out that Forbes gave us, which is that we're the most active AI investor in Israel with 26 at OurCrowd. This is what it looks like, or partially, by the way. If you try to visualize how many startups there are in AI, this is a good way of doing that. But it's not just AI where Israel is a platform of platforms. It's also digital health, where the government has tremendous new initiatives. We're very active there. It's in ag tech, where there are perhaps as many as 400 companies using AI and whatnot to develop that next generation. It's in autonomous vehicles, which you'll be hearing a lot about just in a few minutes, where there are probably north of 500 startups. Of course, you'll be hearing from Intel also in this session about their acquisition of Mobileye. It's in fintech, okay, where there are new funds like the Viola FinTech Fund going after that. It's in innovation or Industry 4.0, where you have a Startup Nation central booth hosting a couple of these exciting companies, where Israel really has some interesting stuff to offer. Cybersecurity, of course, has always been our strong suit. We now have 700 companies. You can't put them on a chart, so they've started breaking them out according to regional ecosystems. Food tech, the newest flavor of the month, very, very exciting. And even travel tech. Now, at this point, I stopped. We could have put up about 40 more of these charts. That, by the way, is the biggest growth business in Israel, is making these charts. But it's really become quite remarkable how many areas Israel is playing in. And of course, the question is why? And if you look at it, I try to understand it in the sense that we have a long-standing tradition of turning curses into blessings. Take water, for example. We had a great year this year. You guys are having a good year, but this is what Israel normally looks like. Turns out that that curse became a blessing because we became world leaders in recycling water. 85% of our water is recycled. Less than 1% of the US water is recycled. We now drink the majority of our water from the sea. We really pioneered a reverse osmosis, and of course drip irrigation. Another curse is that our young people have to serve in the Army, and they sleep in the dirt, risk their lives. It turns out that's actually a blessing, because it gives them tremendous opportunity to take leadership, to become mission-driven, to work in teams, and to work with cutting-edge technology. Another curse is we have no market. This is not really what Israeli markets look like. They're usually quite active, but in general, no one wants to be the king of Tel Aviv with a startup. The blessing is we build global brands that go after winning in a big area globally. Another curse is that people, many of them, not actually less than before, would like to see harm fall to Israel. But that's a blessing, because it focuses us on life. We have one of the longest life expectancies of any country in the world, number 7 right now, and that's all Israelis. That's not just, one ethnic group. That's everybody, including Bedouins in the desert. Think about that. Israel, number 7 in life expectancy in the world. We also have the world's highest birth rate for the OECD, 3.1 children per woman. That indicates a real belief in the future. Of course, we also have a very positive attitude towards risk. And another curse is that this literally is the tiny Israel in the real context of the world. When I showed it to a group of Japanese, they started giggling. And they said, because look how big Japan looks, and they were excited by that. But the reality is that we have no natural resources to speak of. Therefore, the blessing is that we focus on human resources and have this incredible number of college graduates and Nobel Prize winners and whatnot. This is my own little understanding of what's really going on in Israel. Just now, for a little bit of background on what I'm doing and what OurCrowd's doing, we are now the most active investor. This is data from last year. It turns out 2 days ago, PitchBook just published new data. I didn't update my slides. And for the second year, we were named as the most active investor. It's interesting because we're not a traditional investor. We're a venture capital platform that aggregates, at the moment, 30,000 investors from around the world and about 1,000 institutions. We're managing about $1 billion under management. We've looked at 10,000 deals. We've made 170 different investments. We also have 18 funds under our umbrella, and we've had 29 exits. We now represent 182 countries, and if you know anybody in Tonga, so I can close that last 10, please let me know. If you look at our platform, it includes both company investments, where you can choose an individual company and you invest in an SPV, or traditional funds. At the bottom of our platform, we have the 30,000 individual investors. At the top, we have the 1,000 institutions and family offices. Our platform looks very diversified by design. We're investing in all of these areas, whether it's food tech or drones, cybersecurity or ad tech, marketplaces or enterprise software, and then a whole host of funds on the side. The way we work is that we look at these deals, we research the best, we choose them, we lead terms, okay? In the majority of the cases, we actually lead the term sheet process, we invest our own money as any good investor does, and then we open this to the crowd on the same terms as we are investing ourselves. We're actually backing many leading companies now. We have 5 unicorns on platform. We're writing big checks. And many of these companies are raising successfully large amounts, as well as a whole slew of exits. We have offices all over the world, 11 offices today in North America, Europe, Asia. And we are investing, again, in all sectors in leading companies, running from Emprest in energy to Theta Ray in AI for financial security, or in SciTech, which I'll show you a quick little video in a second to end this, and Sense Education in the educational area. And many of our companies are having a social impact. We just had a summit ourselves in Israel with a little over 18,000 people registered, and we launched a social impact fund where we're trying to really promote this idea of the double bottom line, where you can both do good and do well. You can make money and you can create a positive social impact. So SciTech is perhaps the best example of that. That's a company using focused ultrasound to really mitigate Parkinson's disease. I want to leave you with this little video, and then we'll bring up our next panel. Oop, got to go back. Got sound?
Parkinson's disease does to Kimberly Splatter, uncontrolled movements, shaking and wobbling.
We got to the point where I was having difficulty getting dressed. I have a grandson. I couldn't snap his onesies. I was at a wedding recently and I couldn't dance with my dad. It was sad.
Now, doctors at the University of Maryland Medical Center are experimenting with a brand new treatment, something that's never been done before. It's called MRI-guided ultrasound.
It's been known for a long time that if you make lesions in certain parts of the brain, you can eliminate some of the symptoms.
And that's exactly what this treatment does, except there's no cutting and no surgery. Kimberly underwent this treatment less than a week ago. She says she had to shave her head, but the procedure didn't hurt. The only feeling is intense heat. The results, though, were immediate. She was able to walk.
It was just absolutely the most incredible thing in the world.
And when we met Kimberly this morning, there was even more emotion because she was able to accomplish something else, running, a favorite hobby that she hasn't been able to do for years.
It's turned back the clock for me. You know, I have a new lease on life. I can do things that I want to do. It's a blessing.
So indeed, you can turn curses into blessings, and Israeli technology companies are doing that in a variety of areas. And we're going to be hearing now a panel about driving innovation, smart cars, and smarter tech. It's going to be moderated by John Kunchner, who's the managing director of Landmark Ventures. John Kunchner, please.